Good morning, guys. So just back from the gym. It's 5:20 and I thought I'd provide a quick update on how today's training went. But first, I just want to correct something I said I was going to do yesterday. It was a day off yesterday from lifting weights, and I said I was going to do some core work and potentially cardio as well. I opted to do things that were a bit more pressing and focus my efforts on that. So chose to skip core and cardio, and I'm potentially going to do some cardio tomorrow because there's no lifting scheduled in, and today was the final lifting day of week 1. But how did it go? Well, today's focus was dips and pull-ups, and chose to do dips first today rather than pull-ups, and scheduled in was 1 set of a 5 rep max for both dips and pull-ups, and I achieved the 5 rep max on my dips. Have lifted that weight before, but got more reps out today than I have done before. And pull-ups, I was a very small amount of weight away from doing a 5 rep max on pull-ups, but I chose to leave it there and not push for a 5 rep max because I did feel a little bit fatigued after the weight I chose to go for as my 5 rep max today, and I thought I'd potentially only get a 5 rep max if my technique, if I didn't do as good as a technique that I was aiming to do, and I'd have some swing to it, and I didn't want to add that in because I really want to focus on better technique. So really happy of how those 2 lifts went today. The next up was bench press. My aim today was a 5 rep max, but this cycle I want to also add in some kind of exercise that is going to help me work on my weakness. And I've got very long arms, you can see, okay, and my weakness for the bench is lockout. Okay, I'm okay at the bottom, but lockout is just quite hard for me, and I always, if I fail at any part of the bench, it's always lockout. So what I did today was a 5 rep max, but I added a band on top of what I was going for, and I ended up failing at 4 reps, so I didn't quite get the 5th, but I was really happy how it went because today was the first time I've ever added a resistance band on top of a maximum lift, so I didn't really know what to go for, and I picked a weight that was just too heavy. Sometimes that's the way the story goes, and next week I know exactly what to go for what will be my 4 rep max. Then my second set was body weight for as many reps as possible, and this was a PB for me. I got 15 reps with my body weight, and I was very happy how that went. Next up was seated machine pull, okay, for my back, and it was just 3 sets of 8 to 10. Now this particular exercise, I prefer to go a little bit lighter and not max out, okay, because I feel it more in my back by doing that. So that's what I did, and happy of how that went. Then I went on to doing an exercise that most people may not be familiar with, but I got it from Paul Carter. His handle on Instagram is Lift Run Bang, and he's a hypertrophy genius, and it's lying cable rear lateral raises. So effectively I have some handcuffs, if you like, okay, with a carabiner on the side, and I attach it to the cable, okay, cross over and then come down laying down, okay, and that hits the rear delts, and it is a much better way of doing it, because for me, when I do lateral raises, sometimes I can feel it in my wrist, but by having it on a carabiner here, I'm taking away any wrist movements, and I can focus purely and simply on the area I'm aiming to hit. And it was 2 sets of failure, aiming to fail around 10 to 15 reps. So just pick a weight and do it. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending if I pick the right weight. Then I finished off with leg extensions and leg curls. Unfortunately, I was aiming to superset these, but the gym have moved equipment around, so it's very hard to superset when they're either side of the gym. And I ended up doing leg extensions for 4 sets of 20 reps with a strict 60-second rest between sets. The focus here was not to go all out. Because now I'm doing lower body once per week, I've chose to stuck something that's low impact in the middle just to get some blood into the muscles, which will also not fatigue me for the squat and deadlift session. That's on day 2, okay? I then, after leg extensions, went on to lying leg curls and the same process, 4 sets of 20, okay, strict 60 seconds between, and again, not going all out to failure. I finished off doing some abs. I did some heavy cable crunches, okay, very strict, 5 sets of 8, and also just a few of the ab roller exercise, and ended up doing 3 sets of 6. But today, okay, when I do ab roller, I always chop and change how I'm doing it. So today I opted for doing less reps, but really focused on going out. And when I reached as far out as I could go, I held it for 2 to 3 seconds and came back in. Okay, sometimes, okay, I like to go 3 or 4 sets, but hit 10 to 15 reps. Okay, but there's no pause at the end of it. So this is where I've mentioned before, when I do abs and core, I always do it freestyle because I like to chop and change, okay, how I hit the core and abs, okay. Tomorrow, okay, like I say, that's it of week 1, okay, what's prescribed. But tomorrow I feel really good, and I'm going to try and do some steady state cardio, which for me would just be jumping on my bike at home, maybe doing 45 minutes to 60 minutes, just purely and simply getting the legs moving and doing some zone 2 cardio. Won't be pushing it, okay, I won't be waking up early to do it. I will just get up when I wake up, and I will go and do it. Yeah, so that's it, guys. But obviously I'll update you tomorrow to explain what I've done. Diet today, okay, because I've got nothing in the schedule tomorrow for lifting weights, I'm going to only have carbs in my first meal today and a few carbs in my second meal, but less in my first meal. And then the last 2 meals of the day, I will go with just fruit and veg. And in fact, that will be meal 3. And then meal 4, I want a extra thick protein shake, which will finish my night off. And yeah, hopefully get a good night's sleep and get some rest in. So guys, that's week 1 done. Okay, been a fantastic week's worth of training for me. I love the program. Okay, I think that I've hit some really good exercises for what I believe will be a really good, okay, week 4 test of some exercises of maximum weights. And I can't wait to test myself. So guys, as always, any questions, you're more than welcome to hit me up with a message, okay, or a comment. And guys, yeah, ask away. Happy to help in any way I can. So until tomorrow, okay, have a great rest of the day, guys. And I say rest of the day, probably hasn't started for a lot of you, okay, but have a great rest of it, okay, and yeah, happy training, guys. Take care.